Welcome back to the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. The sun's out, patio's open. JB and I golfed yesterday, and the Leafs are up 2-0 against the Florida Panthers.
What a Friday.
In the second round. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandale, Jen Rolnick in.
What's going on over here? Oh, look at the Jays jersey.
I forgot to change it to the Leafs shirt. I'll go do that.
Just leave it.
I like that there's like the public shaming of doing it in real time as the show's on the air.
Do you think he does it on purpose?
Just to get more like walking around airtime?
Just to get more people to, I think, send them a message that don't be dumb, change the jersey.
I do like that we get the change the jersey. Say, oh, we got him on camera over there at the jersey spot. This is incredible. Wow. You got our cool little pocket in the studio.
Oh, my gosh.
That's so cool.
So
Good job,
as they can see, if you go back to the jerseys, you can see XL, medium, boy small, like infants.
It's a pretty cool pocket, though.
Maternity ward.
I just left the jersey on the chair.
Onesies.
Off.
Have we got a onesie in there?
Probably. There's a good chance.
Probably.
Hot start.
All right. Sammy, you good?
Yeah, I am good. I'm
Feeling
really
good?
I'm really good.
Game day. Toronto Maple Leafs get to try to do something that hasn't happened since, 1948? Back-to-back 3-0 starts in a Stanley Cup playoffs.
They are not favored to win tonight. I haven't heard a whole lot of people saying, I like the Leafs in Game 3. That hasn't come up yet.
I know we'll get into that in game day, but, I don't get that.
Totally agree.
I don't understand how Florida could be favorites if you've truly watched the first two games. And
massive favorites.
Okay. If you want to tell me they're a slight favorite,
yeah,
I can live with that.
Mm-hmm.
Massive, somebody's not watching closely.
I agree. There's a chance you get a Joseph Woll game at any point. There's also the idea, do we know about Florida's health? Is that a healthy team over there? I think Maurice said he's not sure, Sammy, that there's a couple game time decisions. Is that right?
I don't know if I put the clip in because it wasn't exactly the most thrilling, but he just said that there's multiple game time decisions heading into tonight.
Okay.
When I think George Richards asked him about the lineup or whatever, and he said So that could be any number of guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people are hypothesizing about Matthew Tkachuk. Hasn't looked like himself through the first two games, has been injured throughout the year. I think it's a pretty easy one to kind of point to, but I'm pretty sure in the final 2 years ago, he played with a broken sternum, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's not one to play.
I mean, he also, cost his team a championship at the Four Nations by being selfish and playing in that game. So we'll see what happens.
Well, wherever you are watching, listening, Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus, welcome into our Leaf Edition hour, the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. The pressure has to be clearly on Florida here.
Mm-hmm.
Want to hear from Paul Maurice on the pressure? We'll start with Paul Maurice on where his team is going back home down 2-0.
Yeah, there's just the composure of the situation, whether you're up 2 or down 2 in a game, let alone a series. The game still has to be played and has to be played intelligently and at a high level. So as pressure mounts, whether the team's trying to close out or a team's trying to claws back, you just want to make sure that you're not trying to hit a home run on every time you touch the puck.
It's a good message, I think. Can't win Game 3 on the first shift, but you can lose the series or lose the game pretty early in the game and fall behind a few. So
the one thing that I feel is really going in the favor of the Leafs tonight is that we saw a much better Florida Panther team in Game 2, and yet it didn't overly phase the Leafs.
Right.
So I can't imagine this team or Brendan Shanahan's team over the past 9 or 10 years ever feeling as good as they feel right now.
And, I think there's been over the years with this core where they feel like there is a chance to let their foot off the gas at times, that they have been very more than willing to do that in certain spots.
Mm-hmm.
So I think tonight is going to be a very interesting test. Scott Lawton talked today. He had a couple things to say, but I didn't cut the clip of him talking about it, but he just said basically like, we have to be desperate. They're going to be desperate. We have to match their sort of desperation. And it'll be interesting to see. That's an easy thing to say, but to go into Florida with the defending champs down 2-0, if they can truly match the desperation of the Florida Panthers tonight, because it's going to be a madhouse there.
Okay, let's go to Craig Berube on what he expects to see out of the defending Stanley Cup champions.
Yep.
Well, I mean, a lot of the same that we've seen already. I think, we know how they play and the way they want to play. I don't think they're going to change a whole lot. I mean, it's going to be, they're at home, so it's a little different animal, but expect a lot of the same.
Your team is.
One thing we have in our sheet here, our lineup from Sammy, is that Florida is looking to become the 7th straight team. Is that right?
No, the 7th straight win.
7th straight win from a defending champion that's down 2-0 in the playoffs the next year. So anytime the defending Stanley Cup champion has gone down 2-0, they've won 6 times in Game 3 in a row. So it just goes to show teams that are experienced, that have talent, that have been through it all, don't just go down 2-0 and go, well, I guess we're cooked.
Yeah.
You're going to get a legitimate push, and Berube knows that, and everyone's, I think, relatively prepared for it. One thing I feel good about with the Leafs' chances is if they're keeping it close, again, it's a win. This is a win for them if they're able to hang around and just kind of be in the game late. They have the best winning percentage in one-goal games in the NHL, regular season and playoffs, an .800 winning percentage in games in one-goal games.
So, yeah, you just can't, when you go into these playoff series, these first couple, the first one at home in every series for the team, you have to say, weather the storm. That's always like the saying.
Mm-hmm.
And remember what happened in Game 3 in Ottawa? The Leafs really got caved in, but they didn't let any really high danger chances and whatever, and they built into that game. This is not the Ottawa Senators we're talking about, clearly, but they're going to have to have the same sort of game plan. Like, I think there's a world where the first 10 minutes tonight is not pretty for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they're going to need a couple big saves out of Joseph Woll. They're going to need their D-core to really just, hold their gaps, be themselves. But if you can survive that initial push, not being down 2-0, keeping it close, you're in this game. You've been in the games. You've played well against them. I don't think the fear factor is going to be there like it has been in years past.
I think the first 2 games alleviated so much of a fear factor,
Correct.
including this persona that this is a very big, mean team.
Right.
And it's kind of, I'm not saying it's gone, but it's gone down a couple of notches here.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Bennett bumps Stolars, which got a ton of attention, but there was no carryover. There was no Sam Bennett fear in Game 2. There was nothing out of Tkachuk. And once you get past those 2 guys, I'm not sure where else you would feel like this team's going to steamroll or run over anybody, including now the Leafs.
Yeah. Well, let's listen. We have Paul Maurice talking about Tkachuk and Bennett.
Just on that point about Bennett, he took 1 hit in Game 2.
He threw a hit?
No, took 1.
Oh.
So it's like, not only did
They didn't chase him around.
they didn't do anything to him.
Yeah.
They listened to their coach and they were disciplined with him. So go ahead there, Barney.
We're just calling for clip 5. Paul Maurice, clip 5 on Tkachuk and Bennett.
Paul, what are you seeing from that Tkachuk-Bennett combination? Is there anything in particular they can do to elevate to get the offense flowing?
I'm really not particularly concerned about our offense. Sam Bennett going into the series was our leading goal scorer. We went out on the road, scored 4 and scored 3. We would expect to win both those games on those numbers based on the way that we play the game. Offense is not where our focus needs to be.
Yeah, I'm not sure I just agree with that.
Yeah.
Especially with Reinhart, one of the best goal scorers the last few years, and he has not been a factor in this thing. Verhaeghe hasn't, and I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but the Matthews, Marner, Nyes line has outscored the Barkov, Verhaeghe, Bennett line, if I'm not mistaken, 4-1, which the one Barkov goal was a power play.
Mhm.
So I know there's people that want to still squeeze more out of Matthews and Marner, and of course, when you look at the big picture, yeah, the numbers aren't as well as they'd like, but Marner assists on Nyes' game-winning goal, and then scores a game-winning goal in Game 2. I mean, they're doing a pretty good job here, although it's not pretty to say how great they are defensively, shutting down that line.
Yeah, I think it's at even strength. It's 3-0. I think the last I
3-0.
saw. Yeah, 4-1 overall.
Yeah.
It makes sense. So that's they're winning their matchup. If every line wins their matchup, you stand up and applaud.
Which leaves what's behind them, and that's where, again, Pacioretty, Domi, right, and of course Willie's sprinkled in there for sure, but like Lawton. They're winning this series for the Leafs.
It does feel like, if it all goes right for the Leafs, there's a Lawton goal in here. He's been involved. He's made people miss. He's in Marchand's grill. And Lorentz too. There's moments to come here. You're gonna get another minimum 4 games out of this Toronto Maple Leafs team. So it's really exciting. What's crazy, Kip, is we'll end this hour today, and when we show back up on Monday for the next show, the series could be over. It could be 2-2. It could be over. But either way, there's a lot to come here in this upcoming weekend. And people are excited, man. Everyone I run into has changed their tone from, they don't have it, to, hey, do they have it? Even the skeptics.
I was telling you, boys, this is what Kyper was talking about, the training wheels, and you got mad at me yesterday. I talked to a lot of people. The guardrails are being lowered here. The bumper bowl is starting to graduate to regular bowl.
There's gutters.
The gutters are around. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
people,
you're right, they're gone, because if you lose now, you're in the gutter.
You're a gutter.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is some real belief in this city, which
Yes.
is pretty concerning.
It's nice and it's deserved.
Yeah.
And you know what else has been fun is they've led in games, so the games haven't been as dread-filled as maybe some previous years.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get Craig Berube thoughts on the Tanev effect as well, because this whole thing is right from the get-go been built from the net on out.
Well, it's huge. I think, our team has really fed off that side of what he brings to the table night in and night out throughout the year with all our D have done a really good job of blocking shots and being strong at the net front. So, and he's definitely a guy we brought in here that has made a living out of that, and it's really rubbed off on our team, in my opinion. Highly important.
Oh, I don't think we talked about it in Leafs Talk. We didn't talk about it on this show the next day. When he got hurt, whatever happened to him last game, their season flashed before my eyes.
Yeah, that was, I believe I texted maybe just you, Bourne, or maybe the group chat, anyone else.
Anyone else?
Literally
be the goalie, be Matthews Marner, just don't be Chris Tanev.
Chris Tanev's importance to this team. And listen, that was a weird hit, and it was one that who was it that got him early in the year that knocked him out for a little while, where he got twisted up against the boards and his arm came off hanging? It looked like a very similar play where he got twisted up, and that was
every time he crunches in the boards, I cringed for the shoulder separation.
What's happening in there?
Yeah,
it's probably not pretty.
No, I'm sure a doctor puts him through an imaging machine and goes, dude.
Yeah,
enough.
Jason Smith's whoa, brother. You need to relax.
Yeah, stop doing that.
The biggest change for me on that blue line, and we can go back on conversations that they don't have a bona fide number one and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But today, it looks like they've got, at worst, 3 number 2s.
Yeah.
3
Right.
number 2s. Simone Benoit right now, to me, could fit in on a top 4 on a lot of teams.
Yeah. I bet if you offered a lot of teams, you can swap this guy in for one of your guys. Most teams would
Benoit,
say, yeah.
Ekman Larson are the best third pair right now
In playoffs, yeah.
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Bar none.
And I mean, we made a joke. So Sheldon Keefe was let go a year ago today. Is that right, Sammy?
A year ago today, Sheldon Keefe was fired.
Yeah.
We're having a very different show 1 year ago today, my friends.
Very different show. And Sammy said, like, I love that we're doing a show or something today. And I just said, with all due respect, to Sheldon, I bet if you subbed in Carlo and Tanev do you remember what the third pair was last year?
The lily pad?
Lily pad.
Was it Lilibet? What did he play? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Might have been out. He might have been scratched. I don't know.
Edmonton was involved. A lot of Labushkin involved.
TJ Brody.
Yeah, TJ Brody got scratched too. So who the hell played?
I don't.
I got to go back.
Connor Timmins? I don't know.
But this is what I was saying is like, those D are the difference to me. Yes, the coach has done great and all that, but like the Leafs D is just better. Flat out better.
And
Puck
it
just
just
kept going in the
constantly looks steady and the same. Like there's no dips. I know sometimes they can spend some time in their own zone, but a lot of times they sort it out.
Yeah. And I do think that realization is what's freed up Morgan Riley to go a little bit more. He just knows that go gadget Carlo back there has got the long reach and he can disrupt plays.
So in that game, the leading ice time for defensemen last year, Game 7, Morgan, Jake McCabe, Simone Benoit played 20-28 in that game.
Third most was Benoit.
Labushkin, 1938. Joel Edmondson, 1751. Timothy Liljegren, 1507.
There you go.
So you swap out Liljegren, Labushkin, and Edmonton for Carlo, Tanev, and
Ekman
Oliver
Larson.
Yeah.
Yeah, no wonder they're
Yeah.
Oh, real brain buster here. Like,
Hey, standing O for tree living on
Absolutely.
the overhaul of the decor. That's the biggest change.
yeah, absolutely. Marchand stuff?
Marchand stuff. So really good last game. Had 2 assists in the first game.
Yeah.
It was the first time he's ever played the Leafs in the playoffs and had 2 points and lost, and the first time he's ever scored against the Leafs in playoffs and lost.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I know that hurts.
But I think he's looking to go 5-0 against the Leafs in the playoffs in his career. So, I mean, he's had a lot of success against the Leafs.
A lot of success. So why don't we listen to Craig Berube?
The Craig Berube one's really funny. So let's listen to that one.
Marchand chirping.
Yeah.
Craig, picking up on that, obviously Marchand's a guy who likes to talk on the ice. Lawton was just telling us he likes that too. Do you mind that, or would you prefer him to stay away from engaging with Marchand, like verbally in between stuff?
I don't really care. Like, it's just talk.
He's really exposing how basic this all is. We're picking it apart with scalpels, and he's like, "What do we?"
I don't really care.
Yeah.
The only thing left is for Berube just to, whoever asked that question, say,
Westers.
yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay? Just
all
cover the
good.
game.
It's
bud.
all
Don't,
good.
Hey,
It's all good,
you
baby.
don't know the game well enough to go that deep right now on whether it's good or bad or indifferent. Just leave them alone. Let them do whatever they want to do.
Just leave him alone.
There you go.
That's it. Just leave them alone. Don't worry about it, buddy.
Yeah. How do you feel about the chirping? I don't care. What do you do with Willie? I just leave him alone.
yeah.
What do you-
That's the bottom line.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Where did we get a Stone
They're
Cold
pros.
Berube drop? Yeah,
They're pros. They're pros. Don't worry
They're
about it.
grown adults.
Yeah.
But on the 1 year anniversary of Sheldon Keefe being fired, it really is the exact opposite approach.
For sure it is.
It really is. And I guess that's what you do after a while. You try one approach and then you go for the opposite or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, that's not, try not to crap on
See,
Keefe, but it's totally different.
This is where Craig, and listen, I played with a lot of guys, been around a lot of guys early in my career that have gone and done other things, either in management, coaching, all of it. You do see this evolution of development from them to go from that stage of their lives to, and the tendency is to try to look the part, sound the part, come across like you've got the secret sauce or you know what's right and wrong and perfect about the game. That's not Berube, right? Most often it's ego too, right?
Yeah, well said.
And this guy's got no ego. He's literally telling you you're making too big of a deal out of something that won't really matter when the chips are down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that
it's
simple.
Just talk.
Yeah.
He's not telling you that that's going to make or break the series or that's an integral part or we're working on something and I don't like it or I like it. He's He's like, you can be around the game for 100 years. I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad, and it is what it is, and that's what they do, and let's go out and play.
This is something, though, that I've kind of learned being around people who have accomplished a lot and are genuinely confident with themselves, whether it's yourself or my father-in-law, Clark Gillies, or, we had the privilege to play with Bieksa the other day, or Craig Berube. These guys don't need to prove to you how smart they are. They're okay to say, I don't know. They don't know to tell. They don't need to show. Yeah. Like, it's okay. It's a show of confidence to me to just be like, not sure. I don't know.
Who cares?
Yeah, we don't have all the answers. We're just doing the best we can.
But if by chance Mike Babcock was still around, he probably could get 20 minutes out of that question to him.
I think that's a very valid observation.
Right?
Very fair.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And it's like, Craig's like, no. Next question, please.
So the reason he asked that question is because they talked to Lawton about it, and Lawton gave this answer on Chirping with Marchand. Lawton, clip 1, please.
Yeah, we've gone at it quite a bit throughout my career. So, it's nice. I think it gets your for myself, gets you into the game a little bit, and it's good.
Is he mowing the lawn during that interview?
Yeah, the skate sharpener's like, they're doing their interviews? The interview time.
Yeah.
Weed whacker.
But it is true. Some guys really can engage in that sort of stuff, and it makes you more aware of your game or attention to detail, and it works. And we've all played with 2 or 3 of those guys where it's like they don't feel right unless they are chirping or engaged in like
It's the best.
a meaningful kind of who gets the last word in.
Yeah. It is fun. I played with Michael Haley. I don't remember him. He had a cup of coffee. And he was
He's
like
an
that.
Islander, right?
Yeah. And he was like
left
that.
wing, left shot.
Yeah, and tough.
And tough.
Shot.
And
Give me a
tough.
break. There's no way you shot that. That's amazing.
But yeah, one of those guys that just was able to do better when he get in it.
I think just kind of a quick Lawton thought, get your guys' take on it. Now, the further we've gotten away from the trade deadline and what was given up to get him has been obviously really good for him. And I've got to tell you, outside game 1 against Florida, I think I've really loved him. And I think he's been great on the kill, laying his body on the line, not afraid to be physical, all that stuff. Just, pasting Evan Rodriguez, getting him to flop in that play there. I think he's been a really crucial bottom 6 guy for this team and kind of exactly as advertised.
You know
I'd
what's
like him to
funny?
shoot it in once or twice, but I've really liked him.
What's really been surprising to me is he's not slow.
No.
Because the first 5 games with the Leafs, I was like, oh no, he can't get around. But he was just hesitating. And now that he's not and he's playing more free, he gets around nice. He makes a couple of moves in the blue on entries that I like.
It's a good line that he's playing
Like
on.
watching him play hockey.
Yeah.
23 minutes into our show already. No mention of Joseph Wall starting in game 3. It's a major storyline that Stolars did make the trip down to Florida.
Didn't go.
Matt Murray's down there.
Mhm.
No real worry here with Joseph Wall going in. You mentioned Bobrovsky. Listen, if goalie Bob does not step up, this series is over.
Bob's had some stinkers. I know he got his cup and whatever, but he's had some playoff stinkers over the years, and they need him. And we saw Maurice, I don't want to say call him out, but at least openly observe that they need more from him.
All right, let's go to Paul Maurice on his ability to bounce back. Goalie Bob.
He's just trained for it his whole life, right? He's not an emotional player. He's not. I don't think he can play as long as he did. If you ride that roller coaster up and down, he's even keeled. He's got a routine that he has faith in, and he'll just stick with it because he's had games in the playoffs last year. Is almost pretty consistent. He'd have a game he didn't like. I thought his game 2 was very, very good. He made all the saves. Didn't see the one. It's a knuckler. There's no pre-scout for that, so it just goes in. So I really liked his game, and that's the trend for him. He's found a way to come back and be really solid. He just has a foundation, and he doesn't come off his foundation. So the end result, whether he had a shutout in the first series and was the dominant player on the ice in my mind in that game because they were pushing real hard.
Yeah, that's a very coachly thing to start
Pumping him
build
up.
up the confidence a little bit on game day. You worried about Wall at all?
But you know where I stand.
You love him.
You're pro Wall.
I wanted him to come in earlier.
You
And
wanted
just,
him game one of the first
well, I
half.
just wanted him to come in and bring in some fresh energy. Not that it was absolutely like a cry for it, but it was just based on what I saw out of Stolars. So I thought he was capable of doing exactly what we saw in game 2.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a chance to even feel more comfortable on the road.
Yes.
I like him on the road. I've seen him steal games before on the road single-handedly, and he's got that type of game in him that if it's, to your point, Sammy, where you got to weather the storm in the first 10 or 12 minutes, this guy will be the reason why.
Playoff career for Joseph Woll in relief. He's got a .863 save percentage, and in starts, he's got a .939 save percentage. These are small samples. He's only started 5 games in relief for 2 or 3, but you know he's done well when he's been able to prepare for the game. You're going into Florida, you know what you're in for. Feel pretty good about it.
Go ahead.
Just on the Bobrovsky thing, and it's kind of more of a greater point about the Florida Panthers. And listen, this could be a look dumb after tonight. Is there a conversation about the amount of hockey they've played in the past few years?
You know, you had a clip yesterday that we never played. I don't know if Derek's able to find it, but it was Paul Maurice.
Let me see.
Talk-
Give me 1 second.
Yeah,
Talking
talking about last year, and asking about being tired. Maybe it was Ekblad. No, it was Maurice, right? Where they basically said, "Is there something to the idea that you guys are tired?" And I think he said,
He's got it.
Derek's got it. Yes, you guys are pros.
Might be some people look at an 0-2 hold and say, well, a lot of hockey the last 2 years, but you had a break for the playoffs, had a break between rounds. Yeah, well, I would
I
respond
don't.
to that.
We haven't used that. I don't know. What today was 7th game in about 3 weeks. Like, it's half the schedule that we like to have. It's not. It's half the schedule that we're used to playing coming into the playoffs. So that's not an issue for us.
So Maurice says
play that
it's
yesterday?
7 games in 3 weeks. Says Maurice.
I don't know what I had for breakfast
Yeah,
today.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
don't remember.
It's not. It's half the schedule that we're used to playing coming into the playoffs. So that's not an issue for us.
I don't like the question. I don't buy it really, to be honest with you. And I know it's rare that today's teams go 3 consecutive Stanley Cup Finals. But, and I know it's rare. It's rare to win consecutive. It's rare to do that. But when it was done in the 70s or 80s, and I'll go to your dad's teams.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like they've won 4 in a row.
4 in a row is
So
crazy.
And they went to the final the
So
50th.
while they're halfway through it, did anybody go up to them on a loss and go, those first 2, like, go back to your dad and anyone on the Montreal Canadiens in the 70s or your 80s or even the Oilers, and go ask them after the first 6 games in the middle of this, stretch, are you guys tired? You're feeling it a little bit.
Well, I kind of just asked.
They would look at you like you got like 3 heads.
Yeah. So does it matter if we're tired?
I am tired.
I'm a trained
Okay.
athlete.
Yeah.
This is what I do for a living. This is what we live for. This is the height. We're trying to do something historic here. Don't ask me if I'm tired.
Here's Aaron Ekblad on the same question. We recuperate in weeks, not years, right? He says, so recovery happens day to day. I don't think that's going to go into the Stanley Cup final, puts you in a hole whatsoever. We still had 2 full months of rest. That's not a notion we buy into. We stay in good shape. It's not an issue.
I mean, he's
very rested.
he's in awesome.
Yeah.
You might even say he's in the best shape of his life
I
for
would
some
say.
reason. I don't know what it is.
The
but-
motivation for them to go to another Stanley Cup final and start separating yourself from being just another team that won to one that you're going to maybe remember a lot more.
Mhm.
Like, how is that curtailing your energy?
So to answer my
opportunity.
So to answer my question, Kyper, you don't think it's a problem?
We really went in on that, didn't we?
No.
You don't think it's a problem?
I think the Leafs forecheck's a problem. I think the Leafs blue line is a problem for them, and maybe Wall might be a problem for them tonight.
Quick
But
thing
not,
on the
not
Leafs
the amount
D.
of games that they've played.
Yeah, the Leafs D have been on 9 straight goals for the Leafs. If they were in on the next one, it would be a franchise playoff record.
That's crazy. What a flip from the regular season where they didn't get anything.
Nothing.
What was the Berube clip on resting
Well, just
on his team?
basically he got asked, "Yo, play the clip," and we can talk
Okay.
about it after. But it's clip 5, Berube.
Greg, the way you guys play obviously demands a lot of the players, the shot blocking, the physical play. What do you tell them to do between games? Like, how do you instruct them to gear up so that they keep being able to do it?
Yeah, I mean, rest is important. We know that. I think, the day in between the games is the time to get away from it a little bit and rest. I don't think you need to wrap your head around the game on the day off. I think it's good to get away and get emotionally ready again, physically, and the mental side of it too. So, we try to stress of just good job tonight. It's over with. Get away from it for a day and rest up because, we're back at it again and we need it tonight.
Can you rest between, were you able to shut it off between games like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Okay. You go to a movie, you hang out, you do stuff that can completely take you away for 10, 12 hours of nothing, think about it. But I will also say that this time of year, your training staff is absolutely paramount. Physio, treatment, stretching, all of it. Like there's 5 or 6 of these athletic trainers there that are behind the scenes right now, working with the guys individually. Acupuncture. You do whatever you need to do to keep the body going and limber, and people would love it on a daily basis. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
You'd feel a lot better if you had what these guys had
That's a good point.
at their disposal.
Post game, that hour post game, it's actually pretty remarkable to see the work guys do after a game, right? Riding bikes and stretching and the amount of work that goes into feeling
Flushing
okay
the
next
lactic
day.
acid out.
Yeah.
So you're telling me they don't have 2 tall cans
Two
of Coors
Coors Light
Lights
in
and
the
a hot
parking
shower and yell at each other for an hour after?
they do, but they still do.
They're home, yeah.
But it's all the rest of it we're talking about.
Okay. That's how I recover after a grueling game.
All right, Sammy.
Do you want to go to break and we'll come back to the Leafs line?
Leafs line.
Yeah, it's a fun one today. We got
some calls for us.
few gems today, bud.
How many will tell me that the show should be called The Real Sammy and Bourne Show?
Okay.
Chuck Nelson here.
There was at least 3 that mentioned it, and none made it in.
The Sam McKee Hour up next.
That must have been torture for you to leave them out.
You're right. I shouldn't put them in. And it was the
No.
I completely forgot.
We like them now.
No,
we like them.
No,
We like them because it just
Listen, you're right. That's not the way to ask.
right. No. Sammy.
Sam has no ego. None of us believe that. We're just teasing.
All right, Sammy's Leaf Line when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to our Leaf Hour edition of our program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, and now, Sammy, we get to hear from
Before we hear from our beloved listeners, Kim,
Leaf Nation.
before we hear from them, some breaking news from my favorite. It's not that breaking. 17 minutes ago from Scouting the Refs, my favorite website. Wes McCauley is ref in the game tonight.
Yeah, but Sheldon's no longer here, so it's a non-issue.
Oh, it's less of an issue.
The cuts are way too deep. I'm going to tell you right now. Get ready for some ref blaming tonight. Leaf fans hate this guy. He is in their crosshairs.
Buddy,
I'm telling you.
Between the embellishment call and maybe a missed tripping call
In overtime last night?
in Vegas,
It might have been a penalty.
it is very Canadian friendly right now.
Yeah, for sure. And they had to bring in a guy to change that. Anyways, let's go to the Leafs line. The Leafs line is brought to you by Muskoka Bay Resort, a top 10 ranked Canadian course, part of the Freed Golf Network, fellas. All right, let's start.
Thank you to them.
Let's start with Luke in Canmore.
You may remember I called a few months back about everyone ragging on Morgan Riley, saying after they all said that they would never rag on him again because he's always good in the playoffs. And I don't know. I think he's been pretty good in the playoffs so far. So I don't mean to say a toe-to-toe, but I might have a toe-to-toe. So, yeah, I just want to hear what you boys think of him. And, yeah, maybe this will be the final time there will ever be Morgan Riley slander. So, yeah, anyways, boys, love the show. Go Leafs, go.
A toe-to-toe is my favorite Rickyism from Trailer Park Boys. Toe-to-toe.
It's a high-end Rickyism. There are many.
There's a million, yeah.
One man's garbage is another man's ungarbage is very good.
Not a lot of them are safe for radio.
Where do you want to start on Morgan?
I'm going to say that it's really nice to not get a call that suggests Morgan Riley should be a forward. That's how you know Riley's playing well, when they're not suggesting he play forward. I think we mentioned in the first half hour that the D has made him feel more comfortable defensively, allowing him to jump.
A deeper blue line that kind of insulates him a little bit better than past years. Everyone talked about Carlo coming in and what it would do for him, and it's come to fruition because he is a lot better, a lot more comfortable. Scored a big goal in this series already.
3 points already in this series?
Although,
right?
One that Bobrovsky, that's one of those goals where you're like, that just can't go in when you see it, and you need a big save. It's a good shot. It's a good shot, but
pass you ripped it low blocker.
That's usually one of those where
mano a mano.
You want, yes, exactly. Like we said before, sometimes, and Paul Maurice said it. The seeing eye ones that find a way to get to the net through traffic, through bodies. But Morgan's been great, but that whole blue line, like I said, there's no drop off between 1 and 6.
It's also nice that I don't watch him on the power play and go, move it, and just freak out.
Pass, shoot, no shoot. Shoot when he should pass.
The
and
other
pass when
thing
he should
too
shoot,
is there's times when I haven't liked it when they've slowed things down, and Morgan, for the longest time, I'm like, he needs to play faster. He needs to look like he's quicker and faster.
He can skate.
And now it's getting to the point where they've got that perfect temperament where if they do slow it down, they're still finding the right guy. It's not necessarily the 80-foot pass across the ice anymore. They're finding shorter ways to break the puck out, and it's helped Morgan, no question.
It has.
So there you go. I think he's been good. And he was +3 in the first. I think he's +4 through the first 2 games of this series. So that's a far cry from what we saw in the regular season. Let's go to John in Milton, please, Derek. John in Milton. Okay.
John's very quiet.
John,
What happened to John?
I don't know. Let's play John Doe from Parts Unknown.
Perhaps it
question is that I've been a long time Leaf fan now for since I was knee high. Anyways, getting back to it, the question is about the goaltender situation and hitting on the goaltenders. I'm just wondering why Aaron Ekblad didn't get a penalty call for running Wald in the last game when he came back from his already previous suspension. With all the looks of goaltender interference, especially after what happened with Stolarz. I'm just curious on why he wouldn't have at least got a goaltender interference penalty, and he looked like he ran him pretty good. But anyways. Keep up the good work, boys, and the refereeing kind of needs to change a little bit, I guess.
Well, it is because Wesley Cole playing tonight.
John does have a point here.
Rotten play
for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Was he kind of reaching for a puck?
He's able to claim that he's making a play.
Playing volleyball
as he drives recklessly into the crease.
Yeah,
this is what drives you crazy about the Florida Panthers, is because they are good. But they they do resort to this stuff. And I guess that's what good teams do, but it's Gracie, man.
Now, I feel like because they won the cup, people got this like image of the Panthers as this supremely talented offensive team or something like that. Like they greased out a 2-1 Game 7 win over the Oilers, right? They fought and clawed for every inch. There weren't many series where people were like, Florida is a way better team. They just earned a Stanley Cup last year. And so this team has to do that. Like they have to have some other element. They're not just going to outscore the Leafs.
I think, too, there's just a certain level of acceptance from the NHL that there's going to be bumps. There's going to be some traffic.
Absolutely.
And, we're okay with it. And if we need to take a look at it, when a puck goes in the net, we will, and we're not scared to disallow a goal. But if it's play on, it's play on.
A lot of play on right now.
Yeah.
And that's the way they want to portray their hockey. Some people like it, some people don't. But it is the way they want their NHL.
Yeah, but 2 elbows to the 2 goalies' heads within 2 games.
The elbow in the head, though.
Tried.
Yeah.
Didn't succeed.
I'll
succeeded.
Yeah, you don't get suspended for
No,
trying.
I'm not saying he should get suspended here. I'm just saying they're greasy and they're trying to hurt the goalies.
Yeah. The one thing I also push back on with people is they say the standard changes for, what's a penalty. I disagree. I think the standard's kind of the same. There's just so much more of it. Everyone's so much more physical. One thing we haven't talked about on this show, and I don't have the stats on me right now to back it up, but Mitch Marner has thrown so many hits in playoffs. I want to say
he was game 1. He had 5.
5. He had 3 last game, and it was the same in round 1.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many. I know you don't want him to be that guy.
No, but
my point is everyone is stepping up their physical
to your
play.
point, because it's not egregious, it's not noticeable. He gets no credit for it.
Yeah, well, they're not bruising hits.
They're not bruising
hits. My
hits.
point is that everyone is doing more of that. So you can't call penalties every time you turn around. The refs are just trying to let them play hockey.
Let's go to John and Milton now.
So lots transpired this week from the Sam Bennett Stolars incident, Paul Maurice's comments, and the media bombardment. My questions, based on my observations, are, do you think the media has played their part in getting under the skin of the Panthers players and Coach Paul Maurice? And B, based on years past, the Toronto media can pile onto the Leafs and make matters worse, especially in the playoffs. Do you see a world where the media can in any way help this team get over the hump? Go Leafs, go boys. Thanks for taking the question. Cheers.
Well, first off, it's not the media's job to do that. That's not.
But some of them do it anyways.
They do it, but that's not the role of the media.
I do think, and I don't know really how to say this without getting. I do think that there's a lot of people that have, ourselves included at times, dined out on the Leafs failing, and that there's a lot of people that don't know how to cover this era of Leafs hockey with them potentially succeeding, and that like defaulting to ghosts, which I do, defaulting to the negative is there. And listen, I can be as negative as the next person, but I genuinely want them to succeed probably more than a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I do
Majority of them are
if it bleeds,
deep down fans.
I don't know if I agree. If it bleeds, it leads, bud. And I think a lot of people kind of want the
There's
failure.
also a selfish part that, like, if they do well, I do well.
Sure. I mean, that's
Right?
for us. We would love to go. I would love them to go deep because it's the thing outside my family and friends I care the most about. So I would like to go them far, but it's great for the show. It's great for business.
It's great for business.
But the way it's covered, do you agree that like a lot of people?
But dumping
I don't
on
know.
them is great for business,
For
too.
sure.
Well,
For sure.
I think it's easier to talk about a failing because you can point to this, you can point to
Yes.
that. When they're doing well, it's tough to sit here and go, they should just keep doing that.
It's a fundamental sports.
But
thing.
hold on. The one thing I think is relevant here is we played the clip from Patrik Allvin today talking about PD and JT, and he's at a season ticket holder meeting or whatever. And he's talking about how that was always there for them, but they were winning in the past. And so when you're winning, a lot of stuff is a lot easier to deal with. And so I think if you're a team that's playing the Leafs and it's going badly, a lot of the media pressure feels worse. You can handle the media when you're winning, when it's going good.
Yeah.
But right now they're in their locker room going, boy, you can't get to the Leafs. What's going on? I think it would really start to wear on you.
This is the most powerful media market in the world
By
for
volume.
hockey.
Yeah.
Right?
No problem. No question.
And when there's a suspension, particularly south of the border, the league does not react in a way where you need to react, unfortunately for them, in a Toronto market.
Yeah.
Right?
Which
it's a different
drives Leaf
beast.
fans insane.
It's a different beast. And they can play a part. I don't know specifically, like, we don't have time to really get into it, but there's a swale, right? Every time there's a big storyline, and it can move the needle.
Yeah.
And the players feel it, management feels it, officials feel it, league office feels it, and it's just the way it is in this market.
It's just death by 1,000 cuts, and when the Leafs are under pressure, it makes it harder.
Yeah.
And I also think when you're up, it puts a lot on Maurice answering all these questions today. He's usually having a great time with the Toronto media. It doesn't sound very fun as of today.
But
We'll see.
they've got them on their side right now.
Let's go to Pam from the Sioux.
Hey, Kip, JB, and Sammy McKee. It's Pam from Sault Ste. Marie. That's right, Paul Maurice's hometown, but we don't want him bringing the cup here. Huge family bloodline of Leafs fans. My husband even got me out of a vulnerable moment after I had my second son and still under the effects of anesthesia, and he is now has the middle name of Gilmore. That's right, after Dougie Gilmore. Sammy, I feel your anxiety watching the Leafs games because I'm exactly the same way. I literally have to go in a different room and plug my ears at some points of the game.
It's like my mom.
But Coach Berube has this team dialed in right now, and it's so nice to see. Right now I feel like Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber with the tagline, "So you're telling me there might be a chance." My husband started to watch the show daily, and now I'm hooked on it. And honestly, I think it might have been a bromance between him and Sammy. But I'm cool with that. Kipper, I'm with you. Not ready to take the training wheels off yet.
Okay.
JB, keep being the mediator and keep those boys grounded, and don't let Kipper bully our Sammy. Anyways, you guys do an amazing job. Love watching your show. Go Leafs, go.
Pam
Thank
from the
you,
Sioux.
Pam.
Pam,
That's a
awesome stuff.
wonderful
But
message.
Pam's a parent, and I'm a parent on this show with Sammy too.
Yeah.
Okay, we have time for one more quick one. Jane Doe from Parts Unknown.
Diehard Leafs fan here. Absolutely love your show. I predict Leafs will win in 5. How do I know this? It's because of my sacrifice. My lucky chair. Months ago, I purchased a secondhand chair because I like the aesthetics of it, only to bring it home and find out it is the most incredibly uncomfortable piece of furniture in the world. The last game the Leafs played the Sens, I sat in it. They won. So now I'm thinking, this is the lucky Leafs chair. So I've been sitting in it over and over, and they've been winning. Sitting in it may sound like an easy task, but with my neuropathic pain, it is quite challenging. The springs poke me in strange places I don't even want to talk about. And I'm pretty sure it's urine I smell, and it is not mine. But it has now been branded as Leafs Lucky. I'll take one for the team if it helps. There's always more physiotherapy. What a fan won't go through for their team to win. Go Leafs, go. Easy on the darts, Sammy.
Don't hurt yourself
No,
for
do
the
it.
Leafs.
No, Jane Doe, do it.
It
Do
is amazing, all the millions of fans out there, and they think that their actions
No, Kipper, they don't think. They do.
They really believe that they somehow can affect the outcome.
All of their energies together are the harmony is what's helping this team across the line. And
Is it?
It can't be a disturbance to the force.
All right, boys. The Leafs line was brought to you by Muskoka Bay Resort, a top 10 ranked Canadian course part of the Free Golf Network. And a reminder to golf fans out there, Sportsnet and Muskoka Bay Resort have come together with an amazing contest. Text Muskoka to 59590 for your chance to golf at one of Canada's top 10 ranked courses with a night in an incredible 3-bedroom villa for you and your friends.
All
Just
right.
text the word Muskoka to 59590 for your chance to win. Visit sportsnet.ca/590 contest for more details. Standard message and data rates apply.
We good?
Yes, sir.
Nice job, Sammy, on the
bud.
Leaf line. We're still just warming up here on the Real Kyper and Bourne show as we go national on Off the Rails Friday with the one, the only, Doug MacLean. Stick around. More to come. Welcome back to the program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. We are the Real Kyper and Bourne show. This is our national hour. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, right across all your Sportsnet platforms. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. And yes, Sammy changed the jersey on time.
And not just the jersey, are we? We got to acknowledge what we've hung.
That's right.
Yeah, it's
an adult-size Oilers kit.
I believe that is Jake Ailish's husband's jersey.
And it's a Dwayne Rollison.
Yeah, I think maybe from his hometown, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that right?
Great guy, by the way.
Really cool.
Nice sweater.
Played hockey with him once, and he wore a helmet that was like 6 sizes too small.
You know, I don't love the copper, but...
Oh, I like those ones.
Yeah.
I like those ones a lot.
The Edmonton Oilers getting the job done in Vegas. Washington looking after tying the series against Carolina. 2 games on tap tonight. Toronto Maple Leafs in Florida, Dallas, and Winnipeg. Let's get straight to Off the Rails Friday with yours truly, Doug MacLean. Look, you're ready, and on location, right?
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. You guys talking about the jerseys, you remind me of that Leafs fan that has his basement full of all the Leafs paraphernalia and junk, and like, you guys are becoming really nerdy on this show. I don't get it.
It's really offensive, Doug.
Hey,
I mean, seriously.
You can't tell.
Relax about the jerseys, boys.
Can we hang one of your quarter zips?
Come to PEI and I'll show you a real jersey collection.
Wow.
I'll come to my son Clark's house and see a real jersey. And he has his curtain rods are made out of his curtain rods are a Lindros hockey stick and a Lemieux hockey stick and an Iserman hockey stick are his curtain rods. So if you want to get nerdy,
and this one's the Crowbush Cougars back in Senior A. It sounds thrilling, Doug.
This is coming from a man who spent All-Star weekend saying, Can I get a stick for my kid? Can I get a jersey for my
That's
kid?
That's a good call. I don't blame him. Now he's got curtain rods.
Listen, we were leaving the All-Star game in San Jose, and Clark had just been given the Wayne Gretzky jersey, and we were walking out, and the owner of Tim Hortons at that time was a part-time owner of Calgary, and he said to Jill, I'm really nervous that somebody's going to kidnap your kid, not because they want the kid, but they want Wayne's jersey. So maybe it should. Anyway.
All right, Matt, plenty to get into when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs and Winnipeg, who will see action tonight. But last night, we got to start with the Edmonton Oilers going up 2-0 against a team that we thought that wouldn't be down 2-0 in Vegas. Pietrangelo comes back, but it's not enough. So just your thoughts on the Oilers going back home up on what was an incredible overtime goal by Leon.
Look, full marks to Vegas because, look, since they've come in the league, they've been amazing. But the first thing I think of is a little bit, and I've said this on the show a few times this year, a little bit old and a little bit slow all of a sudden. And when I watched them last night, the other night, the first thing that jumped out at me was all of a sudden Edmonton are pushing them around. When have you ever said that Vegas had been pushed around? Mm-hmm. But when you look at what Kane is doing, what Nurse is doing, what Frederick's doing, I mean, these guys are starting to push around Vegas, which hasn't happened in 5 years in the league. So and Nurse and that whole group, there's a lot of pushback from the Oilers. And, you add, Connor and Draisaitl have been sort of, when you hold them to no points in regulation, again, you expect to win. But I'll tell you what, Pickard, when he loses his Superman cape, I'm not sure what's going to happen. But like, seriously, how good has this kid been? And Hill has not been very good. Mm-hmm. He's not been very good. So the story of the series right now is pushback by the Oilers, slowness by Vegas, and the Pickard story and the Hill story for me.
So, Mac, how quickly do you think teams should consider using their backup goalies? Like, I thought Aiden Hill was not good at all. You saw the Oilers go away from Skinner. You saw Winnipeg stick with Hellebuck through tough times. Kind of tough to know when to go.
Yeah, and you know what? The Oilers had no choice. It was either do that or they were going down, and it was coming from within the team. I mean, the players were shaking their heads. I mean, it was like unbelievable. But there's a drop. I mean, there's a drop off with some teams, and like I thought, okay, Pickard goes in, the series is over. I really thought that. I thought it was over. I had no doubt in my mind. And I'll tell you what, this kid has always had tremendous character, tremendous heart. He's pulled them out of some tough areas before, but never in my wildest dreams did I expect him to win 6 in a row against LA and against Vegas. And that's what the kid has done. And yeah, I mean, he's not a kid, he's a veteran. But I mean, what a quality veteran he is. And have the players ever jumped on board with him in goal? We've seen that before, but this is a great story, in my opinion, a great story. So, you know, how long is it going to last? Well, if it lasts a couple more games, Vegas could be out. And, you know, we've seen everybody talked about Hellebuck going into the playoffs, and everybody talked about Skinner going into the playoffs. Big question marks. Is Hellebuck, after a Hart Trophy season, going to get through this? Is Skinner going to be able to recover and do what he did last year in the playoffs? But I'm serious, we've seen some great goaltending, and we've seen some dreadful goaltending in this playoffs. And Hill is up at the top of the list, and Bobrovsky's not far behind from what I've watched. And I haven't heard many people talking about Bobrovsky. This guy wins them series. This guy against Tampa Bay was a stud. He's been not good against the Leafs. Full marks to the Leafs, but Bobrovsky and Hill have not been good enough to help and Skinner have not been anywhere close enough. And Calgary stepped up, or I should say Edmonton stepped up and made the goaltending change. Full marks. They had no choice, though. No choice.
For me, guys, it was the concern on the blue line, Mac, with no Ekholm. That, to me, was a horrible sign moving forward for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm watching this blue line come together. And the blunders from Bouchard or Darnell Nurse no longer there. It looks simpler, but incredibly effective. And Wallman, all of a sudden, is looking like a real player here. I mean, give the guys full marks here, but a coaching staff that I think got them somehow ready to play without one of the best shutdown guys in the game.
Yeah, I thought Ekholm was going to be a major loss, not only because of Ekholm being out, because what it was going to do to Bouchard, you know, and how was he going to perform?
For sure.
And I'll tell you what, all of them have stepped up. So, look, I was a little hard on Edmonton management as far as Skinner, Arvidsson, and I'm watching Arvidsson now, and I'm saying, oh, Doug, you better back off on this one and maybe give a little credit, because Arvidsson has been an important guy. The bottom of their group, even the kid that came over from Vancouver, they've been a physical presence with this team, and they've played really well. You know, every forward on their team has scored a goal in the playoffs. When have we seen that happen? I mean, it's unheard of, especially by the Oilers, where 70% of their goals come from their big boys, you know, whether it's McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, you know, whoever. But now it's spread throughout the lineup, and they like, if Vegas, look, in fairness, Vegas could have won a couple of these games too. They really could have won a couple of them, but they didn't. And they've got to figure it out. But I'm shocked at how they've been pushed around by the Oilers. I really am.
Did you see the non-call that Vegas fans are so mad about? Arvidsson got his stick in there for a little can opener in OT.
Yeah, I mean, it's a penalty. It should have been a penalty. It's a dirty play. Did Arvidsson mean it? Happened really quick. I've got to give the referees a little sympathy here, to be quite honest, because it really did happen quick. Yep. I didn't notice the slew foot till I slowed it down and looked a second time, to be quite honest, or whatever it's called. Is it a slew foot? Whatever.
Can opener,
I think.
Can opener, yeah, it's a can opener is better than a slew foot. Yeah, that's true. We call it a slew foot if it's Kadri. If it's Arvidsson, we call it a can opener. Okay, I got it now. You Toronto media guys are all the same. Anyway,
you are watching and listening to Doug MacLean, former NHL president, GM, head coach, and star of Off the Rails Friday. So, Mac, we saw a very unusual play in overtime where Nicolas delivered a cross check to Trent Frederick. And
seriously,
I don't ever recall ever seeing anybody.
What are you doing?
Take a 5-minute major in an overtime, a critical part of the game.
I couldn't believe it.
The puck's up.
Against the Oilers.
Is he playing the puck? Is he not playing the puck? Like, I can't figure out what Nick was trying to do on this play.
I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. And then I couldn't believe that they didn't score. You know?
Right.
I couldn't believe that either. And I figured the game was over then. But, like, who does that at this time of a game? I'm thinking, what is going on?
Did you see all the referees on the Oilers? There was Connor Brown. Everybody's like, excuse me?
Yeah. Well, you basically have to do that to get a call in overtime. I mean, that was ugly.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. But anyway, I'm not going to go on about the referees. I was upset enough about the missed call in the Ottawa-Toronto series. I'll let that go, and I'll move on to these calls. So anyway. I'm not going to get Wacom going again. We'll leave Steve Wacom alone.
All right, let's switch gears to the games on tap tonight. Toronto Maple Leafs have a chance to do something that they haven't done since 1948. Sammy?
77 years.
Go up 3-0 in back-to-back series. Legitimate shot here, or do you think that I think Vegas has Florida's overwhelming favorites here? Where are you on the Leafs and their possibility of going up 3-0?
I think they've got. I said that I thought, and Sammy did a nice job clipping it last week. He's a great clipper, Sammy, by the way, when he does those little clips that go on after the show, you know.
Doug, you're giving me way too much credit, brother. I leave and go home. I don't do any of that.
But he's not a real producer.
Is it Jen that does that? The one that tells me to move and drop my head and lift my head and put my shoulders down before I go on? Or
it's people you don't know, pal.
Okay. Jeez, I get more directions for this show than I ever did when I was on the desk. For God's sake.
Still second to Jill.
Anyhow, look, I thought that it would be the Leafs' skill that would be a really important part, and why I thought it was going to be a really close series. And all of a sudden, I've seen zero intimidation by Florida on the Leafs. And I looked and I'm thinking, okay, Nyes, McMahon, Pacioretty. Those three guys have changed the Leafs forward group. Pacioretty, I was nervous about whether he would survive because he's been so banged up and injured. But McMahon and also Lawton, they are a tougher group. I've said for 5 years they didn't have enough toughness throughout their lineup, enough grit, enough in their bottom six. And now I'm watching the Florida Panthers, one of the most intimidating teams in the league, not bother the Leafs in the first two games. Not bother them in the first two games. I thought skill would be the difference, but it's been pushed back by the Leafs, and it's been those big three forwards and Benoit on the back end. Mm-hmm. Nobody messes with them. And I think they're talented guys and they're big physical guys. And Benoit to me is another guy that they don't mess with. And you need that when you're up against Tkachuk, Bennett, and company. And right now, I'm seeing that from the Leafs. So they're, the size of Carlo, the grit of Tanev, the size of Benoit. I don't think Florida is going to be able to push them around. And I'll tell you the other thing, if Bobrovsky doesn't wake up, the series is going to be over real fast. And I'm saying, like, Paul Maurice said that he played well. Like, what game is he watching? He was awful in 2 games, guys. I've never seen him let goals. Like, when you tie the game up like they tied it up and 10 seconds later he lets that winning goal in, like, are you kidding me? That's a goal, an MVP of the playoffs for Bobrovsky, which he was last year and has been a lot of playoffs. He's not on his game right now, as far as I'm concerned. So if he doesn't recover it, if he doesn't recover real fast, and I don't even know who their backup is. Do they have a backup, or is it just Bobrovsky?
Matt Murray.
Vitek Vanacek's the backup.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I mean.
Leafs,
They don't
Leafs
have
have Matt Murray. Yep.
Yeah, they don't have a backup then. Okay. So look, I'm like the Leafs. Tonight's going to be a major game. And I got buddies in Florida, basket cases over this.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got. I play with a vice president of a huge car dealer group on golf on Wednesdays and Sundays. He's got Panther, like he's a 68-year-old. And he's covered in Panther tattoos now after last year. I'm thinking, Dennis, like, what are you thinking about? He got the Stanley Cup on his tricep. I mean, good, they're basket cases down there. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
Mac, just to touch on how you said that certain guys have changed the makeup of the Leafs. And then just to kind of swing it back to the Oilers a little bit here, with no one even had any idea if that Frederick was going to play again, Evander Kane was going to play again. Those guys come back and they completely change the makeup of the depth in Edmonton. And I'm just like, do some general managers just don't get it on how to really, really win this time of year?
It's mind-boggling to me. It really is when I watch it, because we talk about it before every playoff, and we talk about it after every playoff, and we talk about the grit and toughness of the forward group and also the blue line and the depth of the blue line. And look, I think you said it, Kane, how many years have we talked about Kane in the regular season where he's not doing very much, and in the playoffs, he all of a sudden becomes a real important guy. And he's talked about throughout the playoff series.
Oh, and so, just honorable mention of Corey Perry, too.
I was just going to say, let's not forget about the other guy, the 40-year-old that does it every year since he was 20.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really impressive the way, and you watch it. I'm watching Wilson in Washington. I mean, he was the star of the game last night. It wasn't even close. A close second to him, how important he was every time he was on the ice. And this is a guy that you're thinking, I know he had 30 goals this season, but that's not what I'm watching. I mean, I'm watching him get pucks out of his zone, forecheck, battle, go to the paint. Yeah, it's what it's all about. There's no denying that.
Doug, when you took your team to the Cup Finals, did you change up the lineup a lot? Like Sammy and I were talking before the show, the Leafs, it's just like not even a question right now. It's the same guys. You just go in 18 skaters. We didn't have one debate like bring this guy in, change this line. It's just like that's just what it is.
You know what? I remember one time we made a big change. I'm not sure it was in the Philly series or the Pittsburgh series, but we moved Straka into the lineup, and it was a decision Lindy and Dwayne and I made to put Straka up in the lineup and in the lineup and up in the lineup, and he was a game changer in a big game. We were trailing the series 3-2, I believe, and I mean he was a game breaker that got us to Game 7, and it was a monumental move, and it was a bit of a lucky move by us because we just felt we need a little more. We had lots of grit, but we need a little more finesse. And Strax brought that, to say the least. I mean, but very, very few line change. You want to stay with your lineup. You want to stay with your matchups as best you can. So minimal changes, really.
Outside of lineup changes, Mac, if you go back to the year that you helped Florida get to the Stanley Cup final.
What do you mean help get them?
Well, you're
the assistant equipment manager, right?
You did all the work. You did all the work. The year that you led them.
No.
The year that you led them to the Stanley Cup final. Oh God. The year you led them to the Stanley Cup final. Yeah. Did you ever worry about the transition from closing out a series to Game 1? And I'm just thinking about like the emotional high of that double overtime for the Winnipeg Jets to go into Game 1 against Dallas. And Mark Scheifele said, we weren't very good to start. And, we got better as we went along, but we didn't like our start. Like, Was that ever an issue, worrying about getting the guys pumped up again to start a next series?
So the first series we played Boston, and they had a great team with Tocchet and Adam Oates and Ray Bourque. I mean, they had a heck of a team, Boston, and we beat them in, I think it was 6 games. And then we're going against Philly with the Legion of Doom line, with Lindros, Leclerc, and so on. It really wasn't a problem of getting our guys ready to go up against those teams because they were, and then we beat the Flyers in 6, and then we go in against Mario and Yager and Zubov and so on. It was the easiest motivation a coach could ever have, to be quite honest, when I was coaching the Panthers, because first of all, we had an amazing leadership on the team with the Scrudlins and all the group, the Lowrys, the Scrudlins, the Huffs, the whole group of Tommy Fitzgerald and Billy. I mean, we just had an abundance. Gord Murphy, Joe Vanosky was a kid, Niedermeyer was a kid, Rhett Warner was a kid, but they were character kids, So it was really, really easy to motivate because we knew we had a monumental task ahead of us. And they were ready to play. I mean, they were ready to play every night.
What did you see?
We outshot Pittsburgh one game 60-30 in a game. And people said, oh, the Panthers are playing the trap. I said, you don't play the trap when you get 60 shots on goal at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins in game 6. That's not trapping, folks.
So
that's aggressive hockey.
What did you see out of Winnipeg in their first game against Dallas? And what do you expect tonight out of Winnipeg?
Well, first of all, I started watching the Winnipeg game when they were losing 3-1, and I was feeling horrible for Hellebuck, horrible for him in that game. And all of a sudden they come back in dramatic fashion and win that game. And I thought there would be a letdown. I really did. And look, to me, Dallas, I hate to say this, but I think Dallas is the best team since the Colorado trade. And now they're getting healthy. It'll be a tough road for Edmonton, but they'll be a lot better. I should say Winnipeg will be a lot better.
So, looking at some of these,
now, in my opinion, they're going to need Hellebuck to win them games. Yeah. That's what I think they're going to need.
I just feel like these elite guys, these difference makers, pull teams through when it's close like this. You watch McDavid Draisaitl last night. Rantanen makes the difference for Dallas the game before. Is it still? I know it's possible, but I look at a team like Winnipeg. How much harder is it when you don't have the guy who's the best player out of the 36 skaters?
Yeah, seriously, think about it. Draisaitl and McDavid on a 2-on-1 against Pietrangelo. I mean, a pretty good threesome if you're going to have and I'm thinking as soon as McDavid does not want to shoot the puck. He does not want to shoot the puck. He's too unselfish. And I'm thinking, as soon as I saw it happen, he's not going to shoot. He's not going to shoot. So play it differently. I had more time than Pietrangelo. I had to think about that. But I would have gambled all day long that McDavid was not shooting that puck. Yep. And do you say that to your defenseman, that just in case this may happen, play off McDavid a little bit because he doesn't want to shoot because he's too unselfish. Tough play, really tough play.
But you're right.
All right, Mac, just to take it away from the Stanley Cup playoffs, a lot of jobs available. A lot of work for some executives here. I don't want to lose you on a Friday, right? Because, you're just the gift that keeps on giving on our show. But if you can't get a job now, you're completely...
Have you heard him all the last couple of years?
Completely useless. Because Islanders, L.A., Buffalo's looking for some help. Come on, buddy.
There are bridges aflame all over the league.
I told you last week how you get a job in the NHL. Didn't I explain that last week? So anyway, and I don't think he's going to help me that much. But
Gary likes you. Gary likes you.
Yeah, not that much. But anyway, I think it's really pretty interesting. And the names I'm seeing is really even more interesting. I talked to Kenny Holland a year ago. He couldn't wait he knew he was going to be leaving Edmonton this time. Well, this time 6 months ago, he knew he was leaving Edmonton and he was looking forward to golfing and relaxing. Now he's interviewing everywhere. Like, what the hell's going on? Anyway, like, Kenny, you're 70 years of age, for God's sake.
Buddy, hey,
you know,
if they want to keep giving him millions, he ain't turning it down.
Yeah, I know, but how much do you really need? Anyway, look.
We're asking you. You're asking us?
And anyway, look, it's kind of fun to see the names out there and see what's going to happen. But you know what, and then they now for these advisor jobs, it's every GM that's been fired in the last 5 years, they're the leading candidates for all the advisor jobs. So I see 5 and 6 guys that, you got Peter Chiarelli in there, you got Pierre Dorian in there, you got Bergevin in there. So I hope a few of them get jobs. It'd be great. As I said the other night, I'm at my daughter's in Cincinnati. I said, look, I hate to tell you this, guys, but I have to work tonight. I have to teach the class for Sports Management Worldwide on Wednesday night for an hour. I have to do my job and teach. And then we're going downtown Cincy tonight to a nice place for dinner. I said, look, I got to work. I have to work before we can go. I was at the barn with the horses this morning working. Then I was working in the garden this afternoon. And now I'm working at my real job right here for an hour. So they're patiently waiting for me to go to dinner. So, I'm busy.
Hey, nice day. You're shoveling behind the horses. We're shoveling by you right now. Yeah. Good day.
Exactly. And Taka, somebody told me today he's going to be able to turn down 5 jobs. And then I read today that, and this is the perfect thing, Marco Sturm's in the running for the job in Vancouver. Well, is that a natural or what? Like, seriously? Oh, my God. Anyway, I give up.
All right. Great job today out of Cincinnati, Ohio.
One thing I have to say before I go, I'm watching the Carolina game, and I said this to you earlier. The Carolina Hurricanes remind me so much of the Notre Dame Hounds in their heyday, the way they play. It is unbelievable puck pursuit. Brendan Moore, the way he has that team play just keeps blowing me away. I remember watching him with the Notre Dame Hounds, and it's the same style he took from Notre Dame to his Carolina Hurricanes. And they play hard. I got to tell you, Rod's a hell of a coach. He really is.
All right, pal. Safe travels.
And so hey, tell McKee there, Sammy, I think Berube's doing a hell of a job too. That'll make Sammy's night.
It will. All right. Listen, he's just thrilled you got his name right for starters. Thanks, Mac.
Guys, thanks a lot for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's great to be on from Ohio, and good luck.
Just please say goodbye.
Good luck with
just say goodbye.
Good luck with the show.
Enjoy your dinner, Mac. Enjoy your dinner.
Oh my God. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to leave us. Cut him off, Derek. End the call, or we'll be here all night with him.
That was an elite Doug hit.
That was a Mac hit.
That was one of the best ones ever.
Wow.
Can we talk a little bit about the can opener slew foot thing?
Sure.
Oh,
I hate this take. Go ahead.
It's a bad take, but I've said this the exact same a lot of different times when I'm watching overtime. You have to cross-check someone in the mouth or shoot the puck over the glass. Those are the only ways you're getting a penalty called. And I think it's a penalty, but I also think, John Tavares getting elbowed in the head in the slot in overtime when he's going towards the puck's a penalty. There's a lot of things in every overtime that you watch that are penalties that don't get
coming
called.
off a 5-minute major too,
Oh,
right?
so the makeup call part of it you think is valid?
No, I think it's easier
to call it
off the 5-minute major.
That's a fair point.
It's just easier.
But you know what I mean, though?
People would have understood it
all the time.
Like, you just don't fall into the boards like that.
Yeah.
Could they have looked at it?
Not unless they called a major first.
Well, call a major then.
Yeah.
Call a major.
Sam, I agree that in overtime, when you're fighting for space, roughing, even grabbing, getting around guys, that sort of stuff, you're not going to call a hold or whatever. That guy
crashes into the end.
Clearly got a stick into his skates.
We have Cassidy talking about it. You want to hear his clip?
Yeah,
Talk
let's
about
hear it
it
real quick.
Let me find it here. Yeah, Cassidy clip on the missed call there, Derek. Clip 1. It's in shows.
Well, it sucks to lose a player like that. He's a big part of our team. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know what his status will be. Listen, Gord's looking at it. He blew it. He missed the call. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's a can opener trip. It's a dangerous play. It's all those things. But it didn't get called, so you got to keep playing. Naber is one of our guys that probably one of the most popular teammates in the room. So that is a tough part of playing through it. It's not as easy as it looks. We're human, right? But at the end of the day, that's the task in front of you when those calls happen or don't happen. And they made a play and capitalized on it. So, it hurt. It stings to lose that way. Next question.
I think it especially stinks that they scored like 10 seconds later. Like the ref's got to be like, come on. Like
We couldn't get this to double OT.
Yeah.
Just the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah.
And in Stanley Cup playoffs history.
But
is just,
speaking
you
of-
just don't know.
That's a moment where Eichel could have hauled down McDavid, and how would you then make that call?
McDavid's coming at him 1,000 miles an hour,
speed.
and
Faster than that.
he's off balance. I don't even think he was balanced enough. Eichel.
Yeah.
I don't think he was balanced enough to even get a trip or leverage any part of his stick to slow him down. It was just like going through a turnstile at
I think Eichel's very conscious to not take a penalty, though. Like, I think he almost gets a stick out of the way so he doesn't haul him down. Now that we know he scored, maybe you want the penalty, but you don't know he's going to score.
I saw someone, I forget who it was, put out a post on X that was like, it's amazing that McDavid can just make guys that are top 10 players in the league look like they're pulled out of a beer league game and put onto the ice. Like, that move is silly. And then, like Doug said, he's obviously passing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's never a thought where he's
But
going
he forces everyone to honor the shot.
100%. And then Draisaitl, 2 overtime winners already this playoffs. So
Just one note, Nicolas Waugh will have a hearing tonight.
Oh, my God.
Where they'll announce a one-game suspension.
Yeah,
one game?
Yeah.
How does he not get
here's your
suspended?
one game. Off we go.
That's
right.
I mean, that is the definitions of wires cross, where you don't know.
I'm sure even he was like, what'd I do?
Tired brain, just like, I'm so mad at you. Whoa, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'll just say this real quick.
Yeah.
There's some guys out there that I know when I played against, I could get them to flinch, right? And to me, it was more of a flinch where it's like
Then malice.
I'm kind of scared. I don't know what's going to happen. This is just a defense mechanism.
I love that
to just do whatever I have to do in that split second, and it's subconscious, but it has to do with being a little bit scared.
And it was
of
on Frederick,
this
right?
situation.
Yeah, it was on Frederick.
It was on Frederick,
Stay away from me.
who has a reputation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good point.
It's my move before I think I could get cross-checked.
So we got the hands
But
up.
Frederick's a little calmer because he's a little tougher.
Not afraid.
It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Mr. 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So 2 games on the ice tonight. The first one featuring the Toronto Maple Leafs. I keep waiting for this line to change a little bit, and it has not moved. The Florida Panthers tonight are still minus 240 favorites in this game. The Leafs, what are they in their I saw their record over the last little while. They're like, it's a crazy number how hot they've been over the last little while. But minus 240, and I wanted to quickly pull up the series score as well.
I'll just add that the Leafs always have the most bets on them, so the books kind of move the numbers accordingly. So they actually think Florida's more like a minus 280, minus 290 type of favorite.
And even looking at the series, down 2-0, Florida Panthers are still only plus 180. And the Leafs are minus 220, up 2-0 in the series.
The books believe Florida is still just fine.
So that's I mean, if you were thinking about betting on the Leafs tonight, there's never going to be a better night than tonight.
Do you believe in the series doesn't start till someone wins on the road or someone loses at home, however we're going to phrase it? Like, is Florida fine?
Listen, this is must win.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all. It is. They're not coming back from 3-0.
No.
So, Florida wins tonight. Whole new ball game.
And the Dallas Stars are in Winnipeg taking on the Jets in their second game here in the second round. The Jets are minus 150 on home ice tonight. The books are expecting a bounce-back performance from the Jets. I believe
Morrissey's back.
He's back? I saw that he was game time this morning, but he is going to play.
I'm pretty confident that I saw that.
I saw a game time. I saw that he was a game time decision anyways, and the Stars are plus 125. Rantanen's a dream killer for the Jets. I'd be so afraid of going in a series against Rantanen.
On Morrissey, Arneal said probably.
Probably sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyways, those are 2 games tonight. Watch them both on Sportsnet. So keep your channel right here. That was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the odds and find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
All right. I forgot to plug text 590-590.
Yeah, sure.
Are we
can.
gonna, if you get a couple, you're more than welcome to send them to us. We'll take them. Sammy will take a look at them. And
I have a pitch too for you two guys. We still had a few Leafs line callers. Is it 2?
Play tonight, and it's the second round of playoffs. Let's play them.
We'll play a couple more of those.
Okay. And also, I ruffled a few feathers earlier this week on my ranting.
Yeah, that kind of picked up a little steam.
It picked up a ton of steam.
It was a good rant.
And I'll explain more.
Are you in trouble?
No, well. Yeah, I'll explain after the break.
All right,
how about
sounds
that?
good.
All right, more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back. Real Kyper and Bourne. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Get into some news and notes, some texts. Before the break, I mentioned that I got into it a little bit with the Mikko Rantanen, the whole Dallas thing.
Yeah.
Colorado. And I spoke about Miro wanting to jam it back to the Colorado Avalanche.
Mikko,
that kind of took a life of its own a little bit.
Yeah.
I think everybody was under the impression that I was speaking of Miro against his Mikko, sorry, against his teammates, and that wasn't my intention. That he was talking about really sticking it back to his teammates.
I didn't get that impression
because we know how much he loves them.
Yeah.
The Emily Kaplan post-game interview off of the clinching game, he spoke of his love for his teammates and the brotherhood. So I was just picking up off of what is most common when a guy gets traded and doesn't want to leave is that you want to get back to probably the decision makers.
The people who didn't want to keep you or didn't pay to keep you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I thought that was clear.
No, it was not.
I thought
it was
for
not.
sure he was talking about the management group.
Yeah.
Here's what I say to whoever gave you a hard time about that. It was very clear. So I knew exactly what you were talking about.
All right. So, sorry about that, Nico. So, I think a lot of people reached out to Nico and said, what is that guy doing?
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, Miko. We love you,
Sorry,
buddy.
Miko.
You're a bit of a beast in playoffs.
Good job, Rance.
Didn't know Rance is such a big listener of the show.
Yeah, we're honored. Listen, always honored.
Yeah. A lot of people listen. Apparently. Not just friends and family.
Moving on.
Anyways.
All right.
Text time.
Oh, yeah. We could do some texts. I wanted to. There's one that. Okay. Oh, I lost it. There's so many. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Matthews due for a top 3 player in the league type of performance tonight. Seems like his game has been picking up a little bit. Is tonight the night? Ben from Oston, Ontario.
I like Austin on the road here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think he's got a goal in him.
The Austin Matthews stats against the Florida Panthers, not great, Bob. Let me see. 18 games in the playoffs against the Panthers. So since the 2023 playoffs, he's played 18 games against the Panthers. 3 goals, 14 points in 18 games. All right, but a shooting percentage of 4%. So he hasn't lit this team up typically. Bob kind of has his number a little bit. It'd be nice for him to have a breakout like that, but it's going to be tough on the road. We'll see what Florida does with the matchup. If they leave that Barkov matchup, which has trouble with Matthews, if they change it up and they want to get Barkov against Nylander to free up the Florida offense, then Matthews has a chance. I think he'll be able to create more offense.
Felix from Guelph.
Analysis.
I love that. Felix from Guelph. If the Leafs win this series, but then get smacked in the conference final, is this season still a success? Yes.
You call it a win if they get swept?
I mean, smacked, I guess, is a different. Getting to the conference finals, boys. We wouldn't have dreamed of this at the start of the year.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have.
I'm a big believer of sometimes not if you lose, but how you lose. So I think getting swept would be a tremendous disappointment. And they didn't get swept 2 seasons ago against Florida, but there was a lot of disappointment coming off of a very emotional win against Tampa Bay. So my answer to you is, as long as they show well, they fight hard, and it's not a short series, then yeah, you can swing it towards success.
That might be the break-even point. Can getting swept might be the break-even point. Because, there would be a lot of joy, I think, for Leaf fans in watching Brad Marchand on the other side of a handshake line.
Yeah.
At some
I'd like
point.
that. Yeah, I'd like that a lot.
But, yeah, you win a game or two, make it a series.
Okay. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But I did watch that game last night with being like, well, I don't know which one of these teams is like
Washington, Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a feel. I don't have a feel for any team that has to face Washington or Carolina in the next round.
Yeah.
Let's not have a conversation. If the Leafs were
No, you're wondering how Florida would fare
Yes,
against
correct. Of course, it's exactly
Carolina or Washington.
Well, we saw how it happened with Florida against Carolina when they swept them, and Sam Bennett knocked Jacob Slavin into another dimension.
Oh,
okay,
that was a hit.
If the Leafs were to sweep the Panthers,
okay, is this just like Leaf Hour?
Well, listen, we got 100 texts all about the Leafs. I don't really want to. Canada, they're the most popular.
There's Leafs fans across Canada.
I want to talk about.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the ratings or not. Leafs do pretty well. People care.
It's okay to talk about them. Cool.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kyper. What do you want to talk about?
More Canes.
No,
Canes
no,
talk.
Patrik Allvin.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't feel right playing the audio. I don't.
Okay, then just explain the audio
right.
to the listeners.
I agree. There's a season ticket holder meeting that he answered some questions at,
Yes.
and I don't think that a video is probably allowed to be taken there, let alone shared on Twitter. But we did see him answering the questions about JT Miller and Elias Pettersson and what happened there. What happened there, in his words, were that this was long lingering. Things were a problem the year before.
Yeah.
They won 50 times the season before, and winning solves a lot of problems. Everyone's happier coming to the rink. The next year, when you're not winning that much, Miller showed up ready to win a cup. He showed up with his game face on, and it sounds like he wasn't thrilled that maybe not everyone else had that same mindset the next year. And then they started losing.
I know it's Friday, late. We're almost over the finish line, but I have to disagree with you on this whole camera shouldn't been in the room.
Buddy, disagree away.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Okay. If you're a general manager or president and you're going in to a bunch of strangers, albeit season ticket holders, like you what you're telling them, you better be prepared that it's going to go public anyways. So whether there's a camera there or not should be irrelevant to what he's saying to them.
I agree on that front, that he needs to act like it's going to be seen. But I do still think it's like this is supposed to be like an in club of people who've paid.
It was very,
to be in this,
bad assumption.
Yeah.
It's very shaky, saprudery film. And I'm like, listen, a
bad assumption.
My journalistic integrity, which I have none, was going off.
That complete strangers are just going to keep it in the room.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I think between word of mouth and talking about what he said and having those details trickle out versus filming it word for word and having it put out there immediately on social media are two very different things.
But I also think, Kip, he may have acted with the assumption it was going to get out there. And this isn't that bad or that new.
I will agree with that 100%. That what he said, he was prepared to say to anybody, anywhere, at any time.
Yeah.
It's water under the bridge. This is the history of this.
Water under the fridge is the Ricky.
Another Ricky.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. You guys decide on who was right, who was wrong, but this is what we lived with for the past 6-12 months.
He basically said, like, JT Miller wanted to win a cup, so we had to trade him. And it was like, wait, what?
Well, no, like,
weren't you trying to win a cup?
The sense I got is that he adores JT Miller.
Yeah.
So Why didn't you keep him? If you have all these amazing things to say about Miller,
God, it's so
why
true.
didn't you keep him and get rid of the other guy who's having trouble understanding how to win?
It's actually pretty insane because the message was one guy was hyper competitive, super prepared, and he came ready to win. So we had to get rid of him.
That's what I got.
It's like, wait.
And it's like,
Well, he did mention at the start of it about how much younger Pettersson was part of that conversation.
He said some young guys weren't maybe ready.
but
for
that Pettersson was younger than I think he
so
mentioned
that's
that
it.
in that.
You kept him because he's younger.
Probably.
Not.
You better hope
Not
that by the
enough for
time
me.
he's 32, he has a season where he comes in that prepared.
You
and
need more
competitive.
reasons than just a birth certificate.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Poor Canucks fans. They had such a great year last year.
Okay.
This year was the worst year an NHL team has had in a long time.
And like their least favorite markets are doing well. Like they hate Toronto and the Leafs are doing well. They hate Edmonton. Oilers are doing great. Look like, by the way, boys, I think the Oilers might win the cup.
Nucks talk.
Nucks talk.
Talk? No, like you're just watching. I don't know.
The Oilers look
The
like
look-
if they
the
get
look in
Ekholm back,
yeah.
But
they're the runaway
they're
favorites if they
like-
get him back.
Like they've taken it like it's like 19 teammates said, I want to be as fast as McDavid. I'm watching some of these neutral zone rushes, and it's like they're fast.
Did Doug say that every forward
Yes.
has a goal in playoffs? What does that even mean? Is that right?
I don't know. I mean, if Doug says it's
First
gotta
of
be
all,
right.
it's Doug. Okay, keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Is he still on?
all you hear is a little laugh.
Yeah. They got 15 guys have scored a goal for them so far through
Mac
8
did
games.
research.
Did you see McDavid?
Someone told him that. He didn't look it up.
You see McDavid after they score the goal, he does his signature where he unbuckles the helmet, where he just like does it right away. But the smile in his face, it's almost like, I don't know, that Kings thing was like a near-death experience for them where they were down 2-0 in the series. They're down in that third game, that challenge, like the Byfield fake clear. It's like he almost knows they got a second lease on this. I don't know. I have a really hard time believing anyone's going to beat them.
If
really
he finished his career without a Stanley Cup,
Be the
I don't
worst
think,
thing ever.
I don't think anyone wants to be around him.
No,
until
no.
it's that's just for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be fun.
God,
give him an honorary cup.
I'd like to say I'd be conflicted if the Leafs made the final against them, but I don't think I would be very conflicted at all.
Need Connor to get one.
It is looking a lot more realistic, a Leaf Oiler final than it did in September when
Give
everybody
me a
was
Jets
just
Oilers
hoping it
conference
was.
final. Hey, Jets Oil conference final.
It was a dream. It was a dream before. Now it's getting a little bit more
a Sportsnet dream.
possible.
Sportsnet dream.
Are we allowed to, like, are we at the point where I can mention that without?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. You can mention it on me.
What?
Like the Leafs have like the chance to maybe, go far.
Was it?
Is that allowed? Am I allowed to
It's like
mention
when you
that?
call the
Was that
Super
our
Bowl
caller?
the big game.
Was that our caller from in her first hour from Sault Ste. Marie?
Pam.
Pam?
Yeah.
You're telling me there's a chance.
They're telling me there's a chance. They're telling me there's a chance.
I am. Okay. Scores. Toronto, Florida. 4-2 Leafs.
What are you doing? Really?
I know,
You don't think
baby.
Florida wins tonight?
No.
3-0.
Oh!
Florida.
I think the Leafs are shooting a lot in again tonight. I'm going 5-3 Leafs.
Oh.
Wow, we're never that.
Winnipeg and
disparate.
Dallas. 1-1 or 2-0?
I'll say 1-1 for Jets talk, but
3-0 Winnipeg.
whoa, double
Wow.
3 zips. Boring night on the network. Holy.
I'll go Dallas 4-3.
Our boy Borney on the panel tonight for Jets.
Yes.
And
Jet-
Dallas.
Full Jets talk.
Real
on the
Jets
panel,
talk.
Which is a reminder for me to tell you, do not move. Just sit there the whole night. Toronto and Florida, 7 p.m., followed by Dallas and Winnipeg, 9:30 Eastern, all day long on Sportsnet. Been a great week. Thanks for watching, listening. If you get a chance, give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great weekend, everybody.